is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
In the headlines, first, Cuba faces a growing health crisis as mosquito-borne diseases spread across the island. Authorities say nearly 1 in 3 residents have been affected. Epstein records release. The U.S. Congress overwhelmingly approved a bill to release all records related to Jeffrey Epstein just as President Trump reversed his position. Showcasing domestic nuclear fleet, President Vladimir Putin highlights Russia's ability to mass-produce powerful nuclear icebreakers using only domestic technology as the country expands its Arctic naval presence. U.S. President Donald Trump hosts a lavish White House reception for Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and pushes ahead with a proposed F-35 jet sale aiming to satisfy both Riyadh and Israel. Venezuela talks. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro calls for direct dialogue with the U.S., insisting that talks, not force, are the only way to ease tensions. Resignation debate in the Philippines. A PDP Laban lawyer disputes palace spokesperson's claim that resignation is not an option for President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. And in showbiz, Tom Cruise receives an honorary Oscar at the 2025 Governors Awards, capping over 40 years in Hollywood. I'm Almar Forsuelo, and Newsline World starts now. A lawyer from PDP Laban disagrees with the statement of Palace spokesperson Undersecretary Claire Castro that resignation is not an option for President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Jason Rubrico for the details.
The president is still working and keeps on working for the country.
In a press briefing on Tuesday, Malacanang spokesperson Undersecretary Claire Castro emphasized that the president remains committed to carrying out his duties, adding that stepping down is not being considered by the administration.
So hindi po opsyon sa administrasyon, sa Pangulo ang pagbibitiw. Ang Pangulo ay matapang na haharapin kung ano man ang suliranin ng bansa.
Her statement comes amid growing calls for President Marcos to resign following serious allegations made by his sister, Senator Amy Marcos, claiming the president is using illegal drugs. But for PDP Laban lawyer and official Attorney Jimmy Bondo, the palace's statement is clearly incorrect.
It's always an option. No, in fact, that's in the Constitution. Pwede niyang constitutional option niya ang mag-declare na incapacitated siya. That is in Article 7, Section 11. So, legally, that's a false statement.
PDP Laban Executive Director Astravel Pimentel Naik also issued a strong remark directed at Undersecretary Castro.
Ms. Claire, ikaw ba si BBM? Ikaw ba si President Marcos? Para ikaw ang magsabi na resignation is not an option. Hindi ka kapatid, hindi ka ina, hindi ka rin Diyos. Hindi mo kontrolado kung ano ang nasa puso at isipan ng buong pamilya at ni President Bongbong Marcos. Kung ikaw ay hindi naniniwala na possible ang resignation, kami ay naniniwala na kung totoong may konsensya ang ating Pangulong Marcos, magre-resign siya.
Naik added that Senator Amy's allegations raise a legitimate constitutional concern.
Ang isyo na inilabas ni Senador Amy Marcos tungkol sa kanyang kapatid ay isang valid and very constitutional issue that we have to raise dahil ang isang addict na Pangulo ay walang kapasidad na mamuno at walang kapasidad to lead with wisdom and to lead with compassion.
Amid the renewed controversy on illegal drugs, PDP Laban is also pushing for mandatory hair follicle drug testing, not only for the president but for all government officials. Reporting for Newsline World, I am Jason Rubrico, SM9 News.
The Office of the Ombudsman has filed before the Sandigan Bayan the first set of criminal cases against former Ako Bicol Representative Zaldico and several DPWH officials in connection with the multi-million peso anomalous flood control projects in Oriental Mindoro. Shinatono reports.
Former Ako Bicol Representative Zaldico and the board of directors of the company linked to him, Sunwest Corporation, have been charged with criminal cases. This is due to the alleged misuse of public funds, falsification of documents, corruption, and obtaining undue benefits from government money and property. Aside from Zaldico, those charged also include the regional director, assistant regional directors, project engineer, materials engineer, and the heads of the Quality Assurance, Maintenance, and Design Division of DPWH Region 4B. The complaint is connected to the report submitted by the Independent Commission for Infrastructure or ICI to the Office of the Ombudsman on September 29 of this year.
The subject of this case is the flood control project for the construction of a road dike along the Mag-asawang Tubig River in Nauhan, Oriental Mindoro, and the project budget was 289,498,230 pesos and 6 cents. On September 9, 2025, an inspection was conducted by Secretary Vince Dizon and Governor Bons Dolor, and during this inspection, they discovered that the steel sheet piles used for the dike were grossly below the required standards.
Assistant Ombudsman Nico Clavano added that the Ombudsman panel stated the accused should not be allowed to post bail for the malversation case since the amount allegedly stolen exceeds 8.8 million pesos. Clavano also said that many more cases will be filed in court. Some cases are still in the early stages of investigation, while many others have already undergone fact-finding. For God and for my beloved Philippines, this has been Sheena Torno, SMNI News.
Hamas has rejected a U.S.-drafted UN Security Council resolution outlining post-war arrangements for Gaza, saying it undermines Palestinian rights and imposes foreign control over the territory. In a statement posted Tuesday, Hamas said that they, along with other Palestinian factions, will continue to uphold what it calls the Palestinian people's right to resistance and self-defense. Hamas warned that any foreign or international force deployed to Gaza under the current proposal would amount to trusteeship or an imposed administration, which it says strips Palestinians of self-determination. Hamas also cautioned that if the force ends up coordinating with Israeli authorities, it could become a new tool of aggression and contribute to what it describes as ongoing efforts to eradicate Palestinians. The U.S. drafted Resolution 2803 endorses the 20-point comprehensive plan for Gaza unveiled by President Donald Trump in September. It passed with 13 votes in favor, while Russia and China abstained as Moscow continues to push its alternative proposal. Cuba is facing a growing health crisis as mosquito-borne diseases including dengue, chikungunya, and Oropouche virus continue to spread across the island. Authorities say nearly 1 in 3 residents have been affected. Let's hear the latest from Cha Corbo.
Footage from Havana shows fumigation teams spraying homes as part of the national fumigation campaign aimed at killing adult mosquitoes and reducing breeding sites.
Y ahora con el tema de la arbovirosis estamos haciendo un autofogal y un tratamiento de herbicida intradomiciliario y extradomiciliario que las personas conozcan con esta enfermedad que se conozca esta enfermedad, fumigar la vivienda, que son 45 minutos para que el humo haga efecto con más de al adulto.
Officials are urging Cubans to seek medical care the first sign of symptoms, cover and treat water storage, and take other precautions to prevent mosquito bites. But many residents say the government response is not enough. One Havana resident told reporters.
Sí, he pasado por el Oropouche y el chikungunya. Y he tomado paracetamol y me he sentido súper mal, me ha dado decaimiento, deseo de vomitar también, he tenido diarrea, muchas. Mi esposo también ha pasado por lo mismo, la niña, antier pasó por lo mismo igual. Y esa enfermedad es lo peor que le ha podido pasar a los cubanos.
Health authorities report over 20,000 cases of chikungunya, a national dengue rate of 24.3 per 100,000, and 3 deaths linked to dengue. Some weeks have seen more than 13,000 fever cases, highlighting the scale of the outbreak. Reporting for Newsline World, Cha Corbo, SMNI News.
Up next, showcasing domestic nuclear fleet, President Vladimir Putin highlights Russia's ability to mass-produce powerful nuclear icebreakers using only domestic technology as the country expands its Arctic naval presence. And Venezuela talks. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro calls for direct dialogue with the U.S., insisting that talks at force are the only way to ease tensions. Newsline World will be back after the break.
Isang pindot lang, pwede kang maka-jackpot. Mukhang masaya at easy money lang. Sa murang halaga, pwede ka na tumaya sa online gambling at e-casino apps. Mayroong sabong, slot machines, mahjong, poker at iba pa. Kailangan mo lang ng smartphone, e-wallet at internet. Pero ang aliw na ito, unti-unting nagiging bitag para sa mga Pilipino. Lalo na kung ang paborito mong artista o influencer ang mukha ng app. Mas madaling makaengganyo, diba? Parang safe naman kasi may kilalang mukha. Pero sa likod ng ngiti, sugal pa rin ang itinutulak. At syempre, mas madali ring itago ang pagkalulong sa bisyong ito. Walang pisikal na kasino o pasugalan, walang kaharap, walang accountability, kaya't mas lumalala ang adiksyon. Dagdag pa rito, maraming online gambling apps at walang regulasyon. Sa likod ng mga makukulay na interface at papremyo, nakatago ang problemang bumabalot ngayon sa bansa. Ang pagkalulong ng maraming Pilipino sa online gambling. Pwede maglaro kahit saan, kahit kailan, kahit sino, bata man o matanda, pwedeng malulong. Ayon sa mga eksperto, ang pagkakalulong sa online gambling ay nagdudulot ng matinding stress at anxiety, pagkakabaon sa utang, pagkawasak ng pamilya, pagkawala ng tiwala sa sarili. At tulad ng ibang bisyo, may mga senyales ito tulad ng hindi makapagpigil kahit walang pera, palihim na tumataya, pagpapabaya sa trabaho, pamilya o sarili. Sa bawat taya, may mga taong tunay na kumikita, mga malalaking negosyante at investors na negosyo ang bisyo ng masa. Para sa kanila, perang pumapasok lang ito. Pero para sa ordinaryong Pilipino, kabuhayan at relasyon ang nauubos. At ang masakit, tila matagal itong nahayaan. Hindi ito naging prioridad ng mga nakaupo sa taas hanggang sa sobrang lumala at halos naapektuhan na ang buong komunidad. Ngayon, sa dami ng nalulong at sa laki ng pinsalang naidulot, saka palalong umugong ang mga panukalang batas para higpitan ng online gambling. Gaya ng pagbabawal sa paggamit ng e-wallets para tumaya, pagtaas ng minimum bet, mas mahigpit na identity verification, pag-block ng mga illegal na gambling sites, at bawasan o ipagbawal ang mga ads na target ang kabataan. Maaari itong magmukhang laro lang, pero sa katotohanan, isa itong sugal sa kinabukasan. Ang kita na dapat sa mga pangunahing pangangailangan o ipon na uubos sa sugal. At sa mundo ng online gambling, mas madali kang matalo kaysa manalo. Huwag hayaang sugal ang magdikta sa iyong buhay. Isang paalala mula sa SMNI.
Ikaw ba ay namomroblema sa taas ng electric bill buwan-buwan? Huwag mag-alala, narito ang ilang paraan upang makatipid sa kuryente. Patayin ang mga ilaw at appliances kapag hindi ginagamit. Sa halip ay gumamit ng natural na liwanag upang makatipid sa kuryente. Tanggalin sa saksakan ang mga appliances kung hindi ginagamit. Iwasan ang paggamit ng maraming appliances ng sabay-sabay. Gumamit ng LED bulbs. Ito ay mas tipid sa kuryente kumpara sa mga incandescent at fluorescent bulbs. Regular na linisin ang mga appliances tulad ng electric fan, aircon vents at refrigerator. Magkaroon ng takdang araw sa isang linggo sa pamamalansya at paglalaba. Gumamit ng energy-efficient appliances. Tandaan, maging wais sa paggamit ng kuryente upang makatipid para mas gumaan ang buhay. Ang paalalang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng SMNI.
In 2005, Pastor Apollo C. Kibuloy founded the Sunshine Philippines movement. A mission rooted in love for nature and nation. It began as an environmental and humanitarian initiative to reforest Mount Apo, once barren, now a thriving and beautiful place. Through his initiative, thousands of trees have been planted across the Philippines, bringing life and hope to communities. His advocacy, One Tree, One Nation, is also a movement that calls for unity in preserving the environment. Because every tree planted is a step towards unity, healing, and a greater future. Join One Tree, One Nation.
Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva hits back at German Chancellor Friedrich Merz for remarks about paraphrasing the state's culture and food while calling Berlin not even 10% of its quality. Joy Tabanao tells us more.
Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva pushed back against comments made by German Chancellor Friedrich Merz regarding his recent trip to Pará for the COP30 summit. Merz had said he felt relieved to return home after the conference, a remark that drew criticism across Brazil. Pará Governor Helder Balbalho condemned the statement online, calling it prejudice.
Ele, na verdade, devia ter ido num boteco no Pará. Ele, na verdade, deveria ter dançado no Pará. Ele, na verdade, deveria ter provado a culinária do Pará. Porque ele ia perceber que o Berlim não oferece para ele 10% da qualidade que oferece o estado do Pará, a cidade de Belém.
Lula went on to outline his administration's goals, saying the government will compare its achievements against past leadership in areas ranging from education to indigenous affairs. He vowed to leave Brazil with lower inflation, lower interest rates, and higher wages. Lula's remarks add fuel to a growing political dispute triggered by Mert's comments as Brazil positions Para and Balam as global showcases following the COP30 summit. Joy Tibanao, your citizen correspondent reporting for Newsline World.
President Vladimir Putin flexes Russia's capability of mass-producing powerful nuclear icebreakers, relying entirely on domestic technologies. This comes as Russia continues its naval expansion to strengthen its position in the Arctic. Paul Montibon reports.
President Vladimir Putin said Russia is the only country in the world capable of mass-producing powerful nuclear icebreakers as he marked the keel laying of the Stalingrad icebreaker recently. Speaking via video link, Putin said the vessels are built using fully domestic technologies, describing them as central to Russia's long-term Arctic ambitions.
Сегодня Россия активно и последовательно развивает свой уникальный ледокольный флот, пополняет его современной техникой. В этом, несомненно, огромная заслуга наших замечательных корабелов, ученых-атомщиков, инженеров, конструкторов, рабочих и специалистов разных профессий.
Putin added that Moscow plans to continue expanding its fleet to support the trans-Arctic transport corridor linking St. Petersburg to Vladivostok.
Перед нами, без преувеличения, исторически важно последовательно усиливать позиции России в Арктике, в полной мере реализовывать логистический потенциал нашей страны, обеспечить развитие перспективного трансарктического транспортного коридора от Санкт-Петербурга до Владивостока. И, конечно, от ледоколов, судов высокого ледового класса, от развития инфраструктуры арктических портов прямо зависит комплексное обустройство арктических городов и поселков. Создание здесь новых рабочих мест.
The Stalingrad is the sixth vessel under Project 2.2.2.2.0. 4 ships are already operating in Arctic waters, while 2 more are still being built in St. Petersburg. Russia's nuclear icebreaker fleet now numbers 8 ships, giving it the world's largest and most capable year-round Arctic navigation force. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, reporting for Newsline World, this has been Paul Montibon, SMNI News.
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro renewed his call for direct dialogue with the United States, stressing that talks, not force, are the only way to ease soaring tensions between Caracas and Washington. Maduro said Venezuela remains ready for a face-to-face meeting with President Donald Trump, recalling that he proposed direct talks last September but was rejected by Washington, which accused him of leading a drug trafficking network. His latest appeal came as Trump hinted that Venezuela would like to talk even as U.S. officials continue discussing potential military options, including limited strikes. Maduro warned that any intervention would only worsen the standoff and undermine efforts to find common ground. The United States has increased its military presence in the Caribbean since September, insisting it aims to disrupt narcotics routes. Critics argue the build-up complicates diplomatic efforts and risks breaching international law. Caracas maintains it is open to dialogue but urges Washington to drop its hostile actions to allow genuine negotiations to begin. Coming up, the Epstein records release. The U.S. Congress overwhelmingly approved a bill to release all records related to Jeffrey Epstein, just as President Trump reversed his opposition. Newsline World will return.
Sa kabila ng mga mas modernong kaalaman at teknolohiya, nananatiling matindi ang banta ng HIV sa Pilipinas. Pero gaano nga ba kalala ang sitwasyon? Ang HIV o Human Immunodeficiency Virus ay isang sakit na sumisira sa immune system ng katawan. Ngunit tandaan, hindi ito nakukuha sa simpleng pakikisalamuha. Hindi mo agad mararamdaman, pero unti-unti nitong pinapahina ang katawan. At kapag hindi naagapan, humahantong ito sa AIDS, ang huling yugto na impeksyon, kung saan halos wala ng panlaban ng katawan laban sa sakit. Patuloy na dumadami ang kaso ng sakit na ito sa Pilipinas. Isang nakababahalang pagtaas. Umabot na sa 500% ang itinaas ng HIV cases sa mga kabataang edad 15 hanggang 25. Ayon mismo sa Department of Health, 56 na bagong kaso ang naitatala kada araw sa bansa mula Enero hanggang Marso 2025. At ang pinakamatinding apektado, ang kalalakihan at kabataang Pilipino. Dahil dito, ang Pilipinas na ngayon ang may pinakamataas na bilang ng bagong kaso ng HIV sa buong Western Pacific region. Isang indikasyon ng lumulubahang sitwasyon. Kaya nananawagan ng Department of Health gawing opisyal at urgent ang laban sa HIV sa pamamagitan ng isang Public Health Emergency Declaration. Kalalakihan ng pangunahing apektado. 95% ng bagong kaso ay lalaki. Mahigit 1/3 ay kabataang nasa edad 15 hanggang 24. Habang wala pang deklarasyon, patuloy ang DOH sa mga sumusunod na hakbang: HIV testing, libreng gamot, self-test kits, at pakikipagtulungan sa DepEd para sa edukasyon sa mga paaralan. Isinulong rin ng DOH ang online patient appointment system para sa HIV patients. Layunin nitong gawing mas madali at mas personal ang pag-access sa libreng gamutan at konsultasyon. Ayon sa schedule ng pasyente, ang HIV ay hindi tulad ng flu. Hindi ito basta naipapasa sa hangin. Ito ay naipapasa sa pamamagitan ng personal na desisyon. Kailangan din nating pagtuunan ng pansin ang ugali, disiplina, at personal na responsibilidad. Isang paalala mula sa SMNI.
Madalas ka bang napapasobra sa pag-scroll sa phone mo kahit puro masasamang balita ang nakikita mo? Isipin mo ito. Nakahiga ka na sa kama, nagche-check lang ng phone bago matulog. Tapos, hindi mo na malayan, ilang oras ka na palang nagbabasa at nanonood ng mga balita tungkol sa digmaan, sakuna, politika, at lahat ng masasamang nangyayari sa mundo. Nakakaramdam ka na ng kaba at pagod, pero tuloy mo pa rin ang scroll mo. Ang tawag dyan ay doom scrolling. Ito ang habit ng paulit-ulit na pagtingin sa mga negatibo o nakaka-depress na content tulad ng digmaan, krimen o problema sa mundo. Nakaka-stress pero hindi mo pa rin mapigilan. Ayon sa isang pag-aaral ng Texas Tech University, ang sobrang konsumo ng masasamang balita ay nauugnay sa pagtaas ng stress, anxiety at pisikal na sintomas gaya ng pagkapagod at sakit ng ulo. Ayon naman sa Harvard Health, ang doom scrolling ay nagpapataas ng fight or flight hormones tulad ng cortisol at adrenaline na nakakapagpabigat ng isip at katawan. Nakakaapekto ito sa iyong mood, tulog at maging sa mental at physical health mo. At kapag naman puro memes at random na content ang pinapanood mo ng sunod-sunod hanggang sa mawalan ka na ng gana na mag-isip at gumawa ng iba pang gawain, ang tawag naman dyan ay brain rot. Sa Gen Z at tinatawag na internet culture, ang brain rot ay overconsumption o sobrang tagal na panonood ng paulit-ulit, mababaw, magulo o walang saysay na content online hanggang sa parang manhid na ang utak mo. Kapag nasobrahan, syempre, nakakasama. Nawawalan ka na ng focus, nawawala ang motivation, hirap mag-isip ng malalim, parang lutang o foggy ang utak. Masaya sa simula, pero kapag sobra, napapagod ang isip mo. Nahihirapang mag-concentrate at parang lutang. Mas delikado pa ito sa mga bata dahil ang utak nila ay nasa proseso pa ng pag-develop. Kaya mas malakas ang epekto ng doom scrolling at brain rot sa kanila. Maaaring makaapekto sa pag-aaral, pag-iisip at pakikitungo sa iba. Ang higit sa 4 na oras ng screen time araw-araw sa mga kabataan ay konektado sa 35 to 88% na mas mataas na posibilidad ng depresyon, anxiety at stress. Base ito sa isang malawakang pag-aaral sa Brazil. Kaya, maging balanse. Magpahinga sa screen, magbasa, makipagkwentuhan, magdasal, maging present lagi. Alagaan ang iyong isipan. Kung anong itinatanim sa isipan mo, yun ang lalago.
The U.S. House of Representatives and the Senate has overwhelmingly approved a bill requiring the Justice Department to release all records related to Jeffrey Epstein, with the House receiving a rare near unanimous vote that comes just as President Donald Trump publicly reversed his opposition to the vote or to the move. This report. In a sweeping bipartisan decision, the U.S. House voted to compel the Justice Department to publish all unclassified records and documents tied to Jeffrey Epstein, a move endorsed by President Donald Trump just one day after he urged Republicans to support it, a reversal in his past position in the Epstein issue. The measure passed 427-1, with only Republican Congressman Clay Higgins voting against it. Epstein, a convicted sex offender, died in Manhattan jail in 2019 while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. Epstein's links to wealthy and politically connected figures continue to spark controversy, with both U.S. parties accusing each other of using the case for political gain. Trump had opposed the release for months, accusing Democrats of hyping up the case to distract the public from real issues and damage his presidency. The U.S. president still referred to the case as the Epstein hoax in his post on social media. Trump also said House investigators can access whatever they are legally entitled to, insisting that, quote, "We have nothing to hide." Republican lawmakers argued during House debate that Democrats had selectively leaked and mischaracterized information to smear the president. Meanwhile, Democratic Representative Ro Khanna criticized Trump for meeting Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman instead of meeting Epstein's survivors, saying America should prioritize victims. At the U.S. Senate, the House-backed Epstein resolution was unanimously approved as soon as it's received from the chamber. The Epstein resolution still allows the U.S. Justice Department to withhold materials that could jeopardize an active federal investigation or ongoing prosecution. Reports citing a White House official said Trump will sign the bill whenever it gets to his office. To help American families cope with rising food costs, the Trump administration is rolling back selected tariffs, marking a measured shift in its own approach to trade. Val de Vinagracia reports.
U.S. President Donald Trump has lifted some tariffs in key agricultural goods, including coffee, tea, tropical fruits, juices, cocoa, spices, bananas, oranges, tomatoes, beef, and certain fertilizers. The White House confirmed the change in an executive order released Friday. Officials say the move is intended to help households manage food expenses, which remain nearly 30% higher than pre-pandemic levels for some items. While overall inflation is around 3%, staples like coffee and bananas have seen notable price increases over the past year. President Trump acknowledged that tariffs may have affected certain prices, but he emphasized that trade measures remain an important tool for protecting American producers and strengthening U.S. economic interests. Economists note that easing tariffs could provide short-term relief for consumers while still supporting the administration's broader trade objectives. The decision comes amid public concern about the cost of living. Polls show mixed opinions on trade policies, with some Americans criticizing the impact on grocery prices and others supporting efforts to protect domestic industries. Political analysts say the move may also carry implications for the upcoming elections, as affordability continues to be a key issue for voters. Reporting for Newsline World, this is Valdivina Gracia, SMNA News.
Rescue teams in Banjar Negara continued search efforts on Tuesday after rain-triggered landslides in central Java left at least 18 people dead and dozens still missing. Scenes from Banjar Negara shows homes ripped apart and roads buried under thick earth. Mud fills entire floors as debris covers the area. Rescuers from local agencies, volunteers, Basarnas, and the military moved through the wreckage searching for victims and survivors. Authorities say 33 people remain missing after heavy rains triggered the Duko Situkong landslide. Teams also salvaged furniture and belongings from damaged houses as residents passed through the affected zones. Here's Banjar Negara's Regional Disaster Management Chief for the latest situation.
Alhamdulillah situasi cukup cerah di area kejadian bencana di tanah longsor di Dukuh Situkung. Alhamdulillah cerah, dan ini dari teman-teman khususnya di klaster OPSAR sudah melaksanakan rencana pencarian dan pertolongan, sehingga mudah-mudahan ini para relawan, Sarnas, juga TNI Polri ini segera menemukan yang kemungkinan ada korban yang saat ini belum bisa ditemukan apapun bergabung dengan keluarga yang sudah kita evakuasi.
Officials report minor ground movement persisting in the area, keeping conditions unstable. Several roads remain blocked as machinery and responders continue clearing operations. Piloroso urged residents to stay calm, remain cautious, and support affected families, especially those living near slopes during rainfall. Rescue efforts are set to continue amid unstable terrain and shifting weather. Vice President Sara Duterte called on Filipino and local governments to strengthen climate adaptation measures as the country continues to suffer disproportionately from global warming despite contributing minimally to global emissions. Here's Jason Rubrico's report.
As the nation observes Global Warming and Climate Change Consciousness Month, Vice President Sara Duterte underscored the urgent need for climate preparedness, saying climate change is personal for Filipinos who depend on land, seas, and natural resources for daily survival. The Vice President highlighted that 15 typhoons have struck the Philippines this year, displacing thousands and leaving communities in poverty and widespread destruction. These disasters, she emphasized, test the resilience of Filipino families and the nation as a whole.
Climate change-related calamities test our resilience and readiness as families, as communities, and as a nation. Let us remind ourselves that our choice matters. How we consume, what we waste, how we build. Each decision either deepens the challenge or helps us adapt, reduce, or prepare for the more adverse effects of climate crisis.
She also reported that the Office of the Vice President has planted 1 million trees in the past 3 years, fulfilling its commitment to help fortify natural defenses against the impacts of climate change. The Vice President urged local government units to prioritize climate adaptation in all development plans.
I urge local governments to prioritize climate preparation and adaptation in development planning. This should include the preservation and rehabilitation of remaining forests, mangroves, rivers, and seas. Investment in early warning systems is necessary as part of the vision to develop resilient communities.
Duterte also encouraged families to teach children the importance of caring for the environment by reducing waste, avoiding single-use plastics, and embracing sustainable lifestyle practices. She concluded by calling on Filipinos to renew their commitment to a livable future, one that is preserved and passed on to the next generations. Reporting for Newsline World, I am Jason Rubrico, SM9 News.
When we come back, U.S. President Donald Trump hosts a lavish White House reception for Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and pushes ahead with the proposed F-35 jet sale, aiming to satisfy both Riyadh and Israel. And in Hollywood, Tom Cruise receives an honorary Oscar at the 2025 Governors Awards, capping over 40 years in Hollywood. Don't go away, Newsline World will be back. Lavish White House reception and major defense announcement on Tuesday, Donald Trump embraces Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman with near-state visit honors while pushing ahead with a proposed F-35 jet sale that he says will please both Riyadh and Israel. Angel Pastor for the details.
Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman received a warm and lavish welcome with a ceremony that closely resembled a state visit at the White House. Trump aims to persuade Riyadh to join the Abraham Accords, the series of normalization agreements between Israel and several Arab nations. The U.S. president also confirmed that he would sell F-35 fighter jets to Saudi Arabia following his meeting with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman at the White House. Trump said that Israel would also be very happy with the deal. He referred to the possibility that both Saudi Arabia and Israel could receive top-of-the-line fighter jets, calling both countries important allies.
When you look at the F-35 and you're asking me, is it the same? I think it's going to be pretty similar. Yeah. This is a great ally, and Israel's a great ally. And I know they'd like you to get planes of reduced caliber. I don't think that makes you too happy. They've been a great ally. Israel's been a great ally. And we're looking at that exactly right now. But as far as I'm concerned, I think they are both at a level where they should get top of the line.
This marks the second time Trump has promised F-35 jets to a Gulf nation. He previously offered them to the UAE during his term, though that deal was revoked by the Biden administration. Saudi Arabia, meanwhile, seeks strong security guarantees from the United States. Reporting for Newsline World, Angel Pastor, SM9 News.
A wave of red and cheerful holiday spirit swept through Tokyo as hundreds of Santas from around the globe joined the city's annual Santa Parade, turning the streets into a festive celebration with a mission to help children in need. Let's find out more from Daniela Paulite.
Hundreds of participants from different parts of the world gathered in Tokyo over the weekend to take part in the annual Santa Parade, also known as the Santa Run, bringing charity, joy, and community spirit to the heart of the city. Clad in classic red Santa suits, the participants march along a 2.5-kilometer route from Harajuku Station to Shibuya Station, greeting passerby and spreading holiday cheer. Locals and tourists alike flock to Yoyogi Park to take photos with the Santas, soaking in the lively Christmas atmosphere. Santa Ambassador Matthew Edward Bellman shared a message of hope during the event, saying that despite the challenges the world faces, gathering like this offer a moment to celebrate, uplift spirits, and spread happiness. The Santa Parade first began in Osaka in 2009 and expanded to Tokyo 9 years later. Since its inception, the event has delivered more than 1,000 Christmas gifts to children in hospitals across Japan, making it not just a festive spectacle, but a tradition rooted in compassion and giving. Reporting for Newsline World, Daniela Paulita, SMNI News.
In Hollywood, after more than 40 years in the industry, Tom Cruise has finally earned the recognition he deserves. The Mission Impossible star received an honorary Oscar at the 2025 Governors Awards. Stella Maurice tells us more on this showbiz news.
Tom Cruise, whose name is known with blockbuster action films, was presented with the Academy's prestigious honorary award at the ceremony held on Saturday night. From his unforgettable role as Navy pilot Pete Maverick Mitchell in Top Gun to his relentless pursuit of high-octane thrills in the Mission Impossible series, Cruise has redefined what it means to be an action star. In addition to recognizing the Mission Impossible star's remarkable acting career, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences also recognized his impact on contemporary filmmaking. Because of his commitment to doing his own stunts, Cruise stands out among Hollywood action heroes and has gained the admiration of both fans and filmmakers worldwide. Despite having received 3 Academy Award nominations over the years for Born on the 4th of July, Jerry Maguire, and Magnolia, Cruise's long-awaited Oscar moment finally came with this honorary recognition. Presented by longtime collaborator Christopher McQuarrie, the Oscar was a testament not only to Cruise's successful career, but to his profound impact on the industry. McQuarrie, who directed several Mission Impossible films, praised his friend's unyielding work ethic, calling him one of the most innovative and tireless filmmakers of our generation. Beyond his acting, Cruise's role as a producer has also improved the films he's been involved with. He has pushed the limits to practical effects and modern stunt technology. His work on Top Gun Maverick and the Mission Impossible franchise continues to raise the bar for action filmmaking. As Cruise continues to thrill audiences with his ongoing work on the Mission Impossible series, his Oscar win reminds us all of the timeless power of hard work, dedication, and the pursuit of excellence. While the actor's career may not have always fit nearly into the Academy's traditional molds, his contributions have unquestionably shaped the landscape of modern cinema. This is Stella Maurice, your citizen correspondent, bringing you the latest showbuzz.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the sun. Do what is right, defend what is right, die for what is right. And as we keep track of the countdown, there's only 36 days left before Christmas. And that's all for the edition of the Newsline World. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I'm Almar Forsuelo. Thank you for watching.
This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that